And then you'll hear
Hold
people
on.
go around.
Bob, sorry, something went wrong. The broadcast just started now.
Okay,
I'm sorry. So we're going to have to start again.
good. Go ahead.
Sorry, you're doing great. I screwed up. Sorry.
Fine.
Hello, my name is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 bestselling author, and I'm honored to introduce to you someone that I'm sure you know, my dear friend for almost 40 years, Bob Proctor, the author of the book You Were Born Rich, the undisputed star of the blockbuster hit movie The Secret, and the grandfather of the entire personal growth industry. And he is going to be the superstar of my upcoming event called Thriving Post-Lockdown. Some people are not thriving during the lockdown, and some people are pivoting and doing incredibly well. But I want you not just to thrive in the lockdown, I want you to be ready for the whole new world that is coming. A whole new kind of world is coming, because when millions of people pivot and do things in a new way, it changes the world. And Bob is going to be one of our stars, giving us huge insight at that event. And I'm going to ask you now, Bob, what do you see? Why is the future going to be different? What's going on now? Why are some people thriving and other people are failing? What's going on?
Well, everything's changing all the time. It's just that this is enormous change worldwide, not just locally or nationally, it's globally. And the law of the animal kingdom is obvious. It's adapt or die. And if you cannot adapt to the changes that are taking place in the world, you're going to find yourself in serious trouble. And a lot of people are there right now. I've been studying this now started 60 years this past October, and there's no exceptions to this. Everyone is playing the same game, and you either adapt to the situation that's going on or you die. We built a studio. It's actually a television station where we broadcast all over the world. I'm in my studio right now. We can broadcast all over the world, and we have representatives in our company now, consultants from 91 different countries that we broadcast to. Now, I almost feel like I was being guided to build this studio, because it was built about 4 to 5 years ago, and we were ready when this hit. Nothing slowed us down. We can go right into anybody's home. We can go into their watch, their phone, their computer, and teach this information. At your event, I believe the most important lesson I'll teach, there's two very important lessons. One has to do with frequencies, our thinking, and the other has to do with decisions. We go through life never learning how to make decisions. School does not teach us how to make decisions, and we're not taught at home. Parents make decisions for us because they love us and they want to protect us, so they don't want us making any bad decisions, so they make them all for us. And then when we leave home, we don't know how to make decisions. That's why you have so many people running around saying, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? And they're generally asking somebody that doesn't think. So they're in bad spot. It's a strange thing, Raymond. 5% of the population are winning, 95% are struggling. And success is 5% strategy, is 95% mindset. If we study our mind and really understand how the mind functions, and the fact that we've got awesome powers locked up within us, we could have just an absolutely incredible life. And those of us who have done that, we do have good life. But the people that do not, they're having a tough time right now. They're struggling.
There are some very big companies. J.C. Penney went bankrupt. Hertz Rent-A-Car went bankrupt. The most loved company in the entire world, Disney, their sales are down 91%. Mm-hmm. What are they doing wrong? And what are other companies like Amazon doing right?
I don't think that they're doing something wrong. I just think they're doing something that they've always done, and it doesn't work in this economy. Jeff Bezos, he made the right move at the right time. Let's face it. And where people thought, well, they're never going to order from Amazon. Well, of course, they are ordering from Amazon. They order everything from Amazon, from baby formula to books. I mean, it's all over the place. And the people that see, it goes right back to the leaders of any organization. They have to learn to adapt or die. And they should be teaching that right throughout their organization. That should be a basic part of all teachings. The truth is, it isn't. And companies historically have been training people how to do a job. Well, most people know how to do the job very well. Their problem, knowing, is not the problem. Doing is the problem. So schools got us on the wrong track. We gather all kinds of information, and we've deified the intellect up to this point, where, get the degree, that's everything. Well, the truth is the degree today is nothing. And the awareness is everything. But where we have deified the intellect and we've eliminated awareness, we've got to become aware of who we are, how we relate to the whole scheme of things, how our mind functions, what we're capable of doing. The truth, Raymond, all the rest of the animal kingdom, they're completely at home in their environment. They blend in. They operate by instinct, which is perfect. We are the only creature on the planet, so far as we know, that's totally disoriented in our environment. And that is because we've been given the mental faculties to create our own environment. Unfortunately, most people are not doing it. Now, that's what our company teaches. That's what you're teaching. That's what your upcoming event is all about. We're going to show people how to take control of their environment, regardless of what's going on in the economy. See, we create our own economy. What the market's doing has nothing to do with what we're doing unless we let it.
Yes.
It's a rather strange thing. People go all through their life and they never learn how to create their own economy. They're dependent on someone or something else. We've got to be more self-sufficient. We've got to understand who we are and what we are. And I think that's what your upcoming event is all about.
The feisty boxer, Mike Tyson, many years ago once said, everybody has a plan A until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And besides it's being very funny and very true, this is the first time in all of human history that the entire planet, that 8 billion people have all been punched in the face at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
It's never happened before. And now 1 billion or 2 billion people are going to be vaccinated all at the same time. And everyone's wearing masks all at the same time. And some of those are going to have wonderful, good consequences. Some of them are going to have bad consequences, but we won't know for a few years. And so one difficulty is that people have trouble making decisions, as you said. Another difficulty is people have difficulty being different from their past. They just like redoing what they've done in the past. But another is they're not sure what to do. Even if they could act, they're not sure what to do.
Well, that goes back to decision again. They can't make a decision about their own life. I remember in 1966, I got an hour interview with Earl Nightingale in Chicago. And Earl was, he was like my hero. He was the dean of personal motivation. I had his records and I was burying my mind in his recordings. But at any rate, I got an hour with him. So I flew down to Chicago, and I remember it was at 333 North Michigan. And I was there well ahead of time, wandering up and down North Michigan, anxious to get in to sit down with him. And I spent the hour with him, and there's one thing sitting right in front of me. I have in front of me a book holder. This is a book, holds the book open on my desk. And I asked him, I said, Earl, what is that? After I was there a bit, he said, it's a book holder. And I said, why do you have it like that? He said, well, I want to hold the book open at those pages. I said, but then you got to keep changing the pages. No, he says, I'm leaving it there for maybe a month, might be 3 months. And he said, I want to keep reading that same piece of literature until I know that has properly invaded my subconscious mind.
Wow.
And I turn it into behavioral patterns. Well, ever since then, I've had a book holder on my desk. But I was leaving, and oddly enough, what made him very famous was he was recording The Strangest Secret. And I was leaving, and I said, Earl, what the hell is the secret? I mean, what is the big deal in life? Well, he said, there's no secret, Bob. He said, it's a simple matter of sitting down and deciding what you love to do, and then make up your mind you're going to do it. Spend your life at it. He said, you decide what you love and then dedicate your life to doing what you love to do. He said, the problem with most people is they never figure out what they love to do. Well, I can almost feel the hair going up in the back of my neck because I knew exactly what I would love to do. I would love to do what he was doing. And I made up my mind sitting there in 1966 that I was going to do what he was doing. And I was going to do it with him. In 1968, I had an office about 15 feet from his, and I was his vice president of sales.
Wow.
So I had 5 glorious years working with Earl Nightingale and his business partner, Lloyd Conant. And I decided sitting there that I was going to do that because that's what I would love. Now, I had a business at the time. I was earning over $1 million a year in my business. We had offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. And I had to get out of that. I had to fold that because that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I realized sitting talking to him, the most important thing in life is figure out what you love and then dedicate your life to it. And that's exactly what I've decided to do. And I've been doing it now ever since then. I just started. Now I've got my little friend Dolly here that's wants to say hello to you.
She's jealous that you're paying attention to me.
Yeah. But I think that's very important. And I think that's what people should do. I think you should sit down and ask themselves, what do I really love doing? I was talking to a doctor in Phoenix one time. I knew him, but not well. I knew him from coming to programs that I'd put on. And he was telling me he was thinking of leaving the medical profession. And I said, why are you going to leave? Well, he said, it's the medical profession, Bob. He says, it's so messed up. He said, you got to put in more time to earn less money. And I said, well, that's probably true. But I said, why'd you become a doctor? Well, he said, I love it. Well, I said, why would you quit then? I mean, the fact that you can earn any money doing what you love to do, that's the deal. See, his error, he thought you go to work to earn money. You don't. You go to work for satisfaction. You provide service to earn money. Well, you and I are sitting here talking. We're both earning money that has nothing to do with what we're doing right now.
Yes.
When you go to bed at night, you earn money all the time you're sleeping. If you understand the concept of money and understand how it's earned, money is earned by providing service. It's the reward received for service rendered. And I told him that. I said, the fact that you can earn anything as a doctor is a plus if you're doing what you love. I said, there's 2 forms of income in life. One's material, that's the money you earn. And the other is the satisfaction you get. And if you're doing what you love, you're spending your days doing what you love, you're getting tremendous satisfaction from how you spend your days. And of course, that's what we should be doing.
Well, we're talking the same talk, you and me, because I wrote the book, Double Your Income, Doing What You Love. Mm-hmm. So we're totally on the same page. But some people are doing what they love, but the world doesn't want it right now, or they can't implement it because of this lockdown. It's causing such a gigantic shift. And our mutual friend, Jack Canfield, told me a story about one of his clients who owns the largest gym in Los Angeles. And of course, in March, when nobody could come to his gym, everybody who was paying him $20 a month to stop paying. And he had this gigantic several $100,000 a month rent overhead and was about to go under when Jack encouraged him to shift his thinking, to pivot, to see how he could provide a quote similar service with his same skills, but in a different way. And so he came up with an idea. He called one of his clients and said, look, I know that you love the stair climber. I have completely disinfected it. I put it on a truck. It'll be at your home in a few minutes at only $99 a month if you want it. If you say no, I'll send it to someone else who wants it. The guy said, no, take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Because he realized that people went to the gym, but they didn't want to go to the gym. They just wanted to exercise. And so now he has 1,000 pieces of equipment out in rental in Los Angeles. He's making $99,000 a month. He has zero overhead. He's like the largest gym that doesn't exist. And he used to work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now he just lies in his bed with his cell phone, taking care of business. Huge pivot.
Well, you see, he has adapted to the situation. Now, he did it at, suggestion of Jack, and that's good. People, they have to learn to adapt. And if they don't adapt, they're going out of business. And there are many people going out of business. I was watching the Super Bowl and the games that led up to it. And over and over again, the same commercials kept coming on, something about dishes where delivering food to the home. And I thought, man, they've got to be paying an arm and a leg for this advertising. That company didn't even exist just months ago.
Right.
And now they can afford to buy time on the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Advertising that something about dishes, delivering food. Someone got real smart and they created an industry. Well, I don't think that industry is ever going to go away.
Right.
People phone, I can call the Octagon, a restaurant you're familiar with. I can get Chateaubriand delivered to my home. Beautiful steakhouse.
Yes.
You can't go there and sit there because nobody can go there now. So I have them delivered to me. I don't have to leave my home. I can be in my, gym clothes and they're delivering Chateaubriand and someone designed a new industry. Well, there's all kinds of new businesses coming out of this. Not everybody's going out of business. Some people are going into business.
Yes.
And where this is global, always there's local, there's regional or national catastrophes hitting.
Yes.
And the people that think, the people that are in a creative vibration, they're not going to go down with the ship. They're going to create something much better. And we actually had the biggest week I have ever had in business about 3-4 weeks ago.
Nice.
Our business has not slowed down. Our business has expanded because we're going into over 91 countries right now with people that are on our staff that work with us. We broadcast into 119 countries the last seminar. So people don't have to travel to come to our seminar. We go to them.
Right.
That's changed our industry. And I don't think the industry will ever go back to where it was. I actually think it'll be better.
You were talking. Go ahead. Sorry.
It boils down, they have to start thinking, Raymond. Earl Nightingale said if most people said what they were thinking, they'd be speechless. That's the problem. People do not think. They really don't think. And we've got to start thinking. It's the highest function we're capable of.
When you were talking about our favorite restaurant, our favorite steakhouse, Octagon, delivering, that's something that existed before the lockdown. But there's a new business, and it's called Ghost Kitchens. And it's a kitchen that has no sign on it except Ghost Kitchen, whatever that means. And inside of it, at a minute's notice, they could be making Chinese food or Indian food or any other food you can imagine. And so they just come up with a name like Yummy Hamburgers or something, and they get listed on Uber Eats. And if they get lots of orders, then they keep that brand. If they don't get lots of orders, they come up with Yummy French fries and try that. And so ghost kitchens is this flexible concept where nobody goes into the restaurant because it's just in an industrial park somewhere. And at the flick of a switch, they can just make up a brand, come up with a new menu. And when you go to Uber Eats, you don't even know that it's not a physical restaurant. Mm-hmm. And it's way more efficient because maybe in the evenings, people like Indian food, but at lunch, they like Chinese food. Well, no normal restaurant can do that, but this ghost kitchens can do it. So it's a whole new concept. I think lots and lots of restaurants that stick to the past are going to go under, and that ghost kitchens will be a whole new concept for post-lockdown.
Yeah. Well, you see, somebody's thinking.
Yeah.
And all things are possible. There's a beautiful power flows into our consciousness. It's like a funnel flowing right into our consciousness. And when it flows in, it has no form. It's neither positive or negative. It just is. We can make out of it anything we want. We can create any kind of an image we want in our mind. And what we want to do is sit and ask yourself, what would I really love to do? What do people want that I would love filling them up with? Give it to them. And that comes about from thinking. Mm-hmm. And everything we've got, these phones, this computer we're sitting on right now, the method of delivering this, it was nothing but an idea in somebody's mind a very short period of time ago. I remember speaking at a state farm meeting down in Louisiana. And they had a person that was with the company, was one of the top people in the company, and State Farm's a big company.
Yes.
And he belonged to a group where the top engineer from IBM belonged to it. He belonged to it. At that time, State Farm was the largest cash-rich company in the United States. And so we're talking about some real heavyweights in business. And he had just come back. He was speaking. He had just come back from this meeting. There was, I think, only 9 different people belonged to this. And it was always projecting into the future. And he said that we're going to have, and he held up his notepad. And he said, we're going to have a computer like this. It's going to be called a notebook. And he said, everything that can be done on computers will be done on these notebooks. You can carry them with you. That seemed like yesterday. That was not long ago. Well, of course, the notebook is old deal now. You know, it's like history. But all of this stuff, it started out in thought. And the clothes we're wearing, the furniture that we're surrounded by. There's stuff being done now that couldn't have been done just 10 years ago.
Right.
It's pretty amazing when we see what's happening, you know.
It is. So I want to ask you a question about thoughts. I'm 76 years old. People always say, gee, you don't look it. But I hope it's okay to reveal you are almost exactly 10 years older than me at 86. And you and I look like young pups. So what?
Well, you see, I think if you keep going, you keep creating, you're going to stay young. Old is not the number of years you've been here. Old is how you're living, really. There's a lot of people at 35 and 40, they're old. You'll find people at 50, you know, they're retiring early.
Right.
Well, they might as well say they're going to die early because, you know, like I'll be 87 in July, but I've got a sister 2 years older than me, and she works every day. I got a brother a year younger than me, a year and a half younger. He plays golf every day. He has a business that runs almost on its own. He's got a great staff down in Southern California. Well, I think that's sort of a genetic thing. I think we picked that up from our mother. Our mother had great genes and she worked right up until the last day. And I think that's the secret to it. And you want to keep working and you want to keep planning and you want to keep planning for doing things in a bigger way, in a better way. That's what I'm doing all the time.
Yes.
You know, I want our company to expand and grow, and that's what it's doing. Yeah.
Yes. My first coach, I'm sure you know him well, Dan Sullivan.
Sure.
Yeah. I asked him one day, I'm 65. All of my physicist friends are retiring from teaching at university. Should I retire? And he told me to look up the word. I know what the word retirement means. Dan says, look it up. So I looked it up, and retire means to take out of useful service. Hello. I don't want to be taken out of useful service. I want to provide more and more service. And so I love coming up with new ideas. I love coming up with new products and services. I love it. And my clients love it. And your clients love it. That's why they follow us, because we do what we love and we love doing what we love. And then the money flows at us basically on its own. You and I don't come up with the product because it'll make money. We come up with a product or service because we know people will love it and learn from it.
Let me hold on a minute. I got something that I put down. I think I've got it right here. Here it is. Permit me to take a moment and share. There's about 4 paragraphs here.
Please.
And you've read this before. This comes from Napoleon Hill, and I've got a couple of his books. There's the book I've been studying now for 60 years, Think and Grow Rich. And here's another beauty, The Master Key to Riches by Napoleon Hill. This is a beautiful book. Well, he talks about big money. When money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. And you just said that, and that's what triggered this in my mind. There exists a great unseen stream of power, which may be compared to a river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth. The other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into that side of the stream and not able to extricate themselves from it, downward to misery and poverty. Every person who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. He said this carries a thought of stupendous importance to the person who is following this with the object of accumulating a fortune. If you're in the side of the stream of power, which leads to poverty, this may serve as an oar, which will propel you to the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment upon it, either one way or another, will be no benefit to you. Poverty and riches often change places. Poverty may, and generally does, voluntarily take the place of riches. When riches take the place of poverty, the change is usually brought about through well thought out and well conceived and carefully executed plans. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted.
Wow.
It's such a marvelous piece of literature, big money. And it's something most people don't understand. It's really an attitude. It's an attitude. You get into the right side of the stream and you're just going to go on and the wealth will come. I love the way he puts it in the book. He said, when money starts coming, it'll come so fast and furious, you're going to wonder where it was hiding through all those lean years. And he's right. But you get into the wrong side of the stream and nothing seems to be working out. You're sunk. Now, the real problem there is attitude, because the stream is just a metaphor for our thoughts. It's really our thought power. And you can go whatever side you want. You can think of why you can't, or you can think of how you can. Whatever side you choose, that's the way it's going to be. It seems like most of us have been programmed with an awful lot of negative information. The old paradigms are hard to get rid of. But the truth is we can get rid of them. And when we do get rid of them, we've got rid of an evil force that's within us that's been holding us back. And from that point on, we start moving in the right direction. And you can pick up speed.
Yes, what I notice about this metaphor is when you switch streams, when you grab that ore and switch to the other stream, it accumulates. Not only do you earn a little more money, but you also associate with different people who have those positive attitudes, and they will bring you up. And then you'll come up with books that will bring you up, because the people with good attitudes will recommend books to you. And all of a sudden, your entire world changes. The people that you play with changes. Where you live changes. Your health changes. It all comes from your thoughts.
You know, Charlie Tremendous Jones was a friend of mine. He was a great guy. He used to phone, "Tremendous Bob, how are you?" And Charlie was very much into books. And every time you'd hear him speak, he would say that you're the product of the books you read and the people you mix with. And he's so right. He's so right. Our mind is literally programmed, and we are truly the product of our environment. And you'll see that. I remember, you may not remember, because the 10 years might be a big 10 years. Regent Park used to be, downtown, used to be all old houses.
Yes.
Really ramshackle old houses. And somebody got into the city government and they decided, let's tear all those houses down and we'll put the people in nice new apartment buildings. And so they did that. There was a period of time that it took, but it seemed to nothing at all. There was these big high-rise apartment buildings. And people that were in these houses that they were in terrible shape now were living in a nice apartment. What they didn't do, they didn't take the welfare area out of their mind. They take the people out of the welfare. They got to take the welfare out of the people. Those beautiful apartment buildings now are all a mess.
Yes.
They've wrecked them all. Same people. You got to change the people. Changing the environment is very important, but you got to change the people. You know.
Now, it has always been the case that if people change, they can have a totally different life. But now that the whole world has been punched, the whole world's in lockdown, the whole world is wondering about vaccinations, the whole world is wondering about masks and the future of it. So now is even more important that people are willing to think and change and do something different. What is the one key attitude or ingredient or prerequisite that people need in order to grab that ore and get onto the other side of the stream?
I've carried a gold card in my pocket for 60 years. This is a blank gold card. It says on one side, "I am so happy and grateful now that," and there's a space to write the goal. On the other side is a quote by Earl Nightingale. It says, "This great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all the world except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humankind."
Wow.
That is the most important thing now, but it's always been the most important thing. I think it's even more important now. It's important that you get into the right information. The event you've got coming up, it's so important to people. Because if you don't consciously and deliberately go and seek out the right information, you're going to get buried with the wrong information because everybody's talking about the problems. They're talking about all the problems that are going on in the world, not just in their neighborhood, but globally. But the answer is the same for an individual. Set a goal, fall in love with the goal, and only think of how to achieve it. Don't spend any time thinking of why you can't. Don't get involved in conversations where people are talking about what's wrong. Create conversations where we start talking about what's right. And the event you're putting on, I think, is the most important part. That's what the event is about. It's what's right for Raymond, what's right for Bob, what's right for Betty, what's right for Jeannie, what's right for Harry. And at the event, everybody's going to be encouraged to look at their own life, look at where they are, and look at where they want to go. There's general, universal ideas that'll help anyone get from where they are to where they want to go. Now, your goals may be different than my goals, but the goal is going to do the same thing for you as my goal is for me. It's going to cause us to grow.
Yes.
It's going to cause us to let go of something of the past and replace it with something new for the future.
Yes.
And that's the answer. I don't care if it's a global problem or if it's just a family problem. It's the same solution.
Yes. And Bob will be one of the superstars at thrivingpostlockdown.com. Thrivingpostlockdown.com. You can go there and register, and let's just learn some more from Bob. So,
you know, what you're saying right now, you can go there and register, but you can also not go in there and register. And this is where it comes back to a decision. If you like what we're talking about, and understand we've spent our entire adult life studying this one subject.
yes.
Not just studying it, we demonstrate it. Our company is a reflection of it. Raymond is, and mine is. So go and register now. Don't put it off. This is called advanced decision. What is the date of it?
It's the end of March. I think it's March 27, 28. Let me just look it up. 27, 28, yes. Okay. Saturday, Sunday, March 27, 28.
You can decide right now that on March the 27th and 28th, you're going to inundate your mind with nothing but good information. You're going to learn how to adapt to this crazy time that we're living in. You're going to learn how to keep the conversation on the positive polarity rather than what's wrong. I love the way Earl Nightingale put it. He said, any dumbbell can figure out what's wrong. It takes a respectable amount of intelligence and right thinking to figure out what's right.
Very sweet.
March the 27th and 28th. Make a decision now, and then get a couple of your friends to go with you. Then you've got something you can lock into, you can join together that's really meaningful, and it's got some depth in it. It's life-changing.
I have a question for you. I was teaching a course, and a lady came in about an hour late. And she came in, sat down, no problem. At the break, she made a beeline to me and said, you know, my alarm didn't go off, and then I was caught in a lot of traffic, and then there was an accident, so they detoured us. And then by the time I got here, because you have so many guests, so many 300 or 400 guests, I had to park on the other side of the parking lot. And with my hip, it took me a long time to get here. And I said to her, are you mostly positive or mostly negative? And she said, totally positive, totally. And I said, but everything you said is negative. She said, no, I was just telling you the facts. So when you say people are positive or negative, and they can go to the good side of the stream if they want, there's a lot of people who think they're on the good side and they're not.
Well, you see, they've got caught up in a trap. What they're saying is right. This has happened. She did sleep in. She did get caught up in traffic. She did have to park on the other side of the parking lot. She did have a bad leg that hurt her getting there. Everything she's saying is true. And so she thinks that is the litmus test. It's not. Is it positive? Is it going to improve the quality of your life? Is it going to cause you to move to a higher frequency of thought? No, it's going to depress you. It's going to wear you out. And it's going to screw up your life. I don't care how bad it is. Let it go. Let it go. Lock into something really good. She could say, I had all those things happen, but I'm here anyway.
Bravo.
Good part.
She could have said that, yes. And several people in the stream are saying, what's the URL again? It's thrivingpostlockdown.com. Thrivingpostlockdown.com. And tell me if you could identify the one most important prerequisite for people having the courage or the wisdom or the understanding to grab what's needed and make the changes needed so that their business can turn around or their thinking can turn around. What's the one prerequisite needed in this crazy time?
They have to know that they can turn it into something positive. You have to know that. That is an absolute fact. You have to know that while I'm talking right now, there's a power flowing into your consciousness. It is pure, unadulterated energy, pure, unadulterated spirit. It has no form. You can give it form. Now, you can look at all the nonsense that's going on and you can say, in spite of that, I'm going to win. I'm going to build it bigger. I'm going to build it better. And I'm going to build it to last. And then that's all you start looking for. And that's all you talk about. That's all you read about. And he said, here, there's a master key to riches. Study it. Read the book. He spent his whole life putting that information together. It's like Ray Stanford gave me this book. He said, Bob, Napoleon Hill spent his whole life preparing that book. He said, I think it would be a prudent move on your part if you spent the rest of your life trying to understand and apply it. And I did.
Yes, you have. And you have changed from a low-income salaried employee as a fireman in Toronto to running $1 million a year profit business cleaning toilets around the world, to then earning very much less than that working with Napoleon Hill. And now you're running a spectacular company for so many years, and you're a shining light to so many. And you're a model to me. I love that we are like lifelong friends, like 40 years. That counts as a lifetime.
Well, you know, there's a great lesson there for a lot of people. I was doing something. I didn't dislike what I was doing, but I didn't love it. I was earning a lot of money, but I didn't love what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I became aware of something I could do that I absolutely love. I took an enormous hit to take that job.
Yes.
And I was taking a job. I was prepared to pay them to let me work there. And I got an education, the likes of which most people would never get.
Yes.
I spent 5 years there. And I mean, I had an apprenticeship with one of the brightest people in this industry. And it changed my life. But it was a decision, you see. A lot of people thought I was crazy making a decision to leave what I was doing because I was doing so well. And I'd worked at it for a long time. But I was making the right decision for me. It would have been wrong for them, but it was the right one for me. And I think we've got to sit down and ask ourselves, how do I want to spend the rest of my life? I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing what I'm doing today.
Me too.
I want to improve somebody else's life. I want to help people understand there is a better way. And we're quite capable of taking part in it and enjoying it, you know. Yeah.
I got a message one day when I was 39 years old and $100,000 in debt. My boss had fired me. My wife had kicked me out of our marriage. And I was sitting on top of a pyramid, a Mayan ruin in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. And I got a message, Raymond, you're a teacher. And I came back to my hometown of Toronto and spent a year trying to get a job as a teacher. And I couldn't, nobody would hire me because I didn't have a teacher's certificate. And suddenly I found out I could teach on stage in a hotel. I didn't even know there was such an industry. I thought I'd created the industry. Now everyone knows about it, but back then I didn't know about it. And so I started becoming a real estate teacher and became Mr. Real Estate across Canada. And 12 years later, after being on every radio and television station interviewed in Canada, I got another message that I should teach life. And I came to my office the next day and I said, cancel all my upcoming real estate courses. I'm going to teach life. And they said, life? Are you qualified to teach life? What kind of life are you going to teach? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going for it. And I created the monthly mentor program, which has helped so many people achieve goals. And because of that, I got invited to be a member of the Transformational Leadership Council. And because of that, I got to know his dear friends, Jack Canfield, Dr. John Gray, and everybody who was in the movie The Secret. And so I had the courage to make these gigantic life decisions. Talk about that. What did I have, or what do other people need, or what was the thing that I did? What do you think?
Well, I think you are a soul. I don't think you have one. I think you are one. And the soul is forever seeking its awareness of its oneness with that which is, with our God. And I think everybody's at a different place. And I think you listened to your soul. And I think that is really the secret. I think the secret is to be quiet, as Emerson said, and listen to the quiet voice from within that's telling you where to go. And that's what you did. I obviously did the same thing. I was to leave the business I've got and move my whole family to Chicago and take a job at $18,000 a year. The message was so strong, I couldn't deny it. And so that's where I went. Well, I think that's what you're doing. Now, I think everybody gets the message. I think the soul speaks to us. That's where our wants come from. When we say we want, I think it's coming from that spiritual perfection within. I think our spiritual DNA is perfect. And I think it's always attempting to express itself in a greater way with and through us. Well, you got a message in your consciousness and you acted on it. You did it a couple of times and you acted on it. It defied logic. It defied everything in our physical world. But when you're dealing on a higher level, the physical world really doesn't make any difference, because we realize it's nothing but the manifestation of the higher level. And you're always working from a higher to a lower potential. And when you're doing that, if you're working with an electrician, they're working from a higher to a lower potential. Like the only limit to electricity is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing, namely the bulb or the transformer. Well, the only limit that's placed on us is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing, namely this mind of ours, and we make choices. And as you make the choice, you adapt to the things you have to adapt to, and you build your business. And of course, you've helped an awful lot of people over a long period of time after making those choices. And you're obviously making the right choices. I was in the Triumph Hotel doing a seminar when you did your first seminar. And you were in the big room and you filled that room. And it was your first seminar. And I thought, well, I don't know what the hell the guy's doing, but he's doing the right thing, because you filled the room. And of course, you haven't stopped. You haven't looked back. You keep on going. You know?
I want to talk about an idea that you came up with a few years ago. I remember sitting in your backyard and you proudly showed me the studio that you were building. And you told me that it was a really difficult engineering task because there's a train that goes by behind your home, and you can't have a train going by and making all that noise and vibration if you're doing a presentation.
Mhm.
And so you had to create a box and then hang your AV studio inside the box so there'd be no noise and no vibration. But you did that years before COVID.
Mhm.
And now it's ready just as COVID came, and you're perfectly poised with that spectacular, super high-tech studio.
Yeah.
Do you remember getting a message years ago saying, hey, why don't we build this high-tech studio in the backyard?
Well, I used to sit under an umbrella just outside my back door and look at this part of our property and think, I could build this. And there was a little house that we used. We had the pump in for the pool and the heater, and there's change rooms in there for the kids. And I'd look at that and I think I could just extend that little building and I could put a couple of cameras in there. And one thing led to another. And I mentioned to someone that I wanted to do this. And they said, I know somebody who can help you. And he sent somebody over. And I just rattled off my imagination of what I wanted to do. And he said, yeah, we can do that. And at the same time, then I was doing a seminar in LA and I got talking to some sound people from the movie industry. And I told them about the challenge that we faced. There was a train not too far from our house. And I said, you can't do that. And they explained that you could. And what I'm sitting in now is called a floating cell. And the man that built it had never built one before. And there's a portion now, the control room is in another room. It's not in a floating cell. But it doesn't matter if there's noise there. That's where the editing and everything's done.
Right.
But this is a room built within the room. It's a house inside the house. It's a studio inside the studio. And you can, now we have glass doors and glass windows, and we had double doors and double windows made. We had them made. They were all finished, ready to go in. And the guy in the sound in LA, he said, I wouldn't put them in. He said, that's going to make it perfect. You don't want it perfect. You want a little imperfection. So he never put them in.
Wow.
But you don't hear any noises. I suppose there is some imperfection. You just don't hear it. I don't hear it. But maybe my ear is not trained to hear it. But this is a very unique place. It's a unique studio.
It is.
And of course, we had a couple of guys in from CTV, and I said, sort of like a TV station. They said, no, Bob, it is a TV station. Because we can broadcast here. We have multiple cameras. Like I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras that I'm looking at. They come out of the ceiling. We've got teleprompters. And the beautiful thing is, this is set up. The studio director is a young guy, Scott Edwards. He started watching The Secret when he was 13. He set a goal of working with me. He runs the studio. And right now, he is in control of here from Manchester in England. He can control it from anywhere in the world. Yeah. So it's pretty unique, and it's very valuable. Yeah.
Your AV studio is unique. You are unique. You're really a shining light in the whole world. And I'm honored. I'm so honored to be a friend of yours. I love admiring you. I love thinking that in 10 years, I'm going to be as vibrant and as happy as you. I just love that you're
I'm sure you will be, Raymond. I'm sure you will be.
And I love that you're going to be a star at my event, thrivingpostlockdown.com. And you get one more comment, one more quote, or one more thought as we leave. How would you like to leave?
Well, I have a quote that I use all the time, Raymond. Anytime something comes up, little things that challenge you. It's a quote by Dean Briggs, and I love it. And anybody could use it. It's appropriate to use it in the world today. He said, do your work. Not just your work and no more, but a little more for the lavishing's sake. That little more, which is worth all the rest. And if you suffer as you must, and you doubt as you must, do your work. Put your heart into it, and the sky will clear. And out of your very doubt and suffering, will be born the supreme joy of life. I go over that many times.
It's so beautiful.
It is a beautiful quote.
It is.
Powerful.
And my favorite along those lines is by T.S. Eliot, who said, "You never know how far you can go until you risk going too far." Love it.
It is. That is a very favorite quote of mine. I love that. That is very true.
Okay.
I remember hearing that, and I thought, God, there's a lot of truth in that. Yeah.
Bob, I'll see you again at Thriving Post Lockdown. Thank you. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure, Raymond. I look forward to seeing you there.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.